First, you have to think about your ABC analysis. That is a way of categorizing your inventory by the frequency in which it needs to be counted. You may want to structure your higher, faster moving items in your A categories, higher frequency, all the way, and maybe your higher frequency, you're counting that 4 times a year, once a quarter. Your lower frequency or your C items, you may only count once a year. And I'll talk a little bit more about how to think about ABC analysis. Second thing is, once you've done your ABC analysis, you should think about staffing. What is it going to take to get the cycle counts done over the course of a year? You know the number of counts because you've done your ABC analysis. You might want to do some sample counts to get a sense of pace and what it's going to take, how much time it's going to take per count, and then you can come up with a total number of hours to get the cycle count complete for the year. And from there you can determine how much staffing you're going to need in order to complete that. The last part of the cycle counting program that should be considered is the audit process. So what happens when the cycle counter comes up with a count that doesn't match the inventory system? What do? We want to have some controls in place for that. Ideally, you have a second independent counter looking at that and validating that count. And then that person can then confirm the count, validate it, and then make sure that it gets pushed on for reconciliation with the inventory system for any adjustments. That gets back to ABC analysis and how do you pick your A parts? And it's the old 80-20 rule, knowing that 20% of your inventory makes up 80% of the value of the dollars. So that's a good way to start. And sales can be a way of looking at your inventory. What 20% of your items are generating 80% of your sales? What 20% of your items are the fastest moving? That could be something that fast moving might be something that may be more applicable in a manufacturing environment. But use that type of analysis to pick your most important A parts that are going to be cycle counted on a more frequent basis. And then you can look at your slowest moving parts or the parts that generate the least amount of sales. That would be the second thing I would look at. I would do a dump of all of my inventory items out of my inventory system. I'd make sure I'd have my sales dollars tied to that, or my turn information tied to that, and then look and see what that bottom tier is. Those will become your C items, and then whatever's left over falls into the B categorization. So A items once a quarter, B items maybe twice a year, C items once a year. Probably the most important metric would be inventory accuracy, and that is really just understanding the overall accuracy of your inventory within your warehouse. It is a measure of how many items match the inventory system versus total number of items that you have in your warehouse. So you divide the number of items that match the system divided by the total number of items, and that will give you your inventory accuracy. Cycle count completion is another metric that can be very helpful. It will give you insight into how you are performing, almost like a percent complete. How are you performing and executing your cycle count program? So it's the number of completed counts divided by the number of scheduled counts. And that's something you want to track on a regular basis, so that what you don't want to have happen is you get to the end of the year and you realize you're way behind and it'll be difficult to catch up. So track that, at least on a monthly basis to make sure that you're pacing correctly. The last metric is cycle count accuracy. So this measures the quality of your cycle counters and your cycle counting program. So it's the number of accurate counts divided by the total counts. That will give you a percentage that will tell you what your cycle count accuracy is. And again, you want that to be really high. You want inventory accuracy to trend towards 100%. You want cycle count accuracy to also trend very close to 100% as well.